hypocritical, contradictory, internally inconsistent statements, which add up to nothing. I mean, they say they want to reduce emissions, but then they talk about new coal-fired power. They say they're against government subsidies, and they criticise me for not subsidising coal and nuclear and carbon capture. And then they say they want cheaper power, and they oppose renewables. And they talk about energy abundance like talking about it makes it happen. I'll tell you what energy abundance is getting on with 50% renewables that we hit in the grid for the first time in October in the national grid. That's what getting on with the job looks like. Their policy just makes no sense. It's incoherent, and I very much look forward. This is a debate I didn't seek. If they engaged in bipartisanship, I'd prefer that. But it's not one we'll shirk, and we'll engage in it in the coming months and years. I mean, they haven't actually released a policy. This morning on radio, Mr. Turn said that they released their policy close to the election, and yesterday, to be fair, was not the policy.
Why should big companies receive taxpayers' subsidies to reduce emissions?
Well, I don't really agree with the premise of the question, but what we will see, again, as I said yesterday, Susan Lee said she was against subsidies and then criticised us for not subsidising nuclear, coal and carbon capture. So, go figure. I just can't follow the opposition's line of attack. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Your government hasn't followed through on its promise to significantly bring down power prices. Why should Australians believe you in this transition?
Well, I think Australians had their say in May. Mr. Dutton, I wish him well, said he wanted a referendum on climate and energy. We were okay with that. That happened in May. Australian people told us to get on with the job. That's what we're doing. I don't think the coalition got the memo for the Australian people.
As we push on with the transition, when could we see power prices significantly come down for
Well, we've seen
Australians?
wholesale prices come down substantially. We've got more work to do to make sure they flow through to retail prices. But, wholesale prices are a lot lower now than they were in 2022, down 27% in the last quarter. We'll see next year how that translates to retail prices. We've got a whole bunch of reforms that I've announced to energy pricing, including solar sharing, which sees Australians have access, if they choose to, 3 hours of free power in the middle of the day. This is all about putting consumers first, and that agenda will continue.
When do you anticipate it will flow through?
Well, let's see how the retail prices are impacted by wholesale prices next year.
People speak about Tomago aluminium smelter as an example of how the renewable transition is hurting manufacturing in Australia.
These people.
Certainly the Liberal Party, but there are also concerns from Rio Tinto. There are also concerns for people that work at Tomago about their jobs. A lot of Australians are concerned about that as well. Do you deny that the smelters are suffering because of this?
Well, you said people, and then we had to clarify.
There are a cohort of different people who hold
and then you
those
said,
concerns.
and then you said Rio. Well, let's look at what Rio said. Rio said there's not enough renewables. They want more renewables. That's what they said. They said we need more certainty about renewables to secure the future of Tomago. That's not my words, that's the words of the Chief Executive of Tomago. So we're continuing discussions with Tomago about that and Rio. But if the Liberal Party, as you accept, are the ones making the argument that somehow renewables aren't the cheapest form of energy, then they fly in the face of every bit of economic evidence. They want to show continually they're dinosaurs, they reject science, and they reject economics.
Why is Tomago struggling to stay open, in your view?
Well, I'd refer you to the statements of the Chief Executive of Tomago. He said we're not able to get coal contracts at competitive rates, and we're not confident of enough renewables coming through. That's what the Chief Executive of Tomago said.
Will your government support subsidising Tomago to keep it open?
We have said we will continue our sensible discussions with Tomago, and those discussions continue.
Are you open to that idea?
Well, we're not negotiating here in Cove as much as I love it. We'll keep those conversations going.
There are
we'll have more to say if and when we can.
a lot of people obviously concerned about their jobs there. Any idea of how much the federal or the state government in New South Wales would be willing to pay to keep it open?
You know, last time an aluminium smelter closed in Australia was on Joe Hockey's watch when he was Treasurer, and he said, well, we shouldn't get too excited about one particular smelter. That's not our approach. We care about every single job. We care about the jobs at Tomago. We'll never go to manufacturing into leaving Australia like the Liberals did. I'm old enough to have been in Parliament, and Joe Hockey said they can go to the car manufacturers. We have the opposite approach. It's not, so much about subsidies. It's about coming up with a sensible plan with Tomago that works for everyone. Those conversations. This is not an announcement. We said this in Parliament weeks ago. We'll continue those conversations.
There is a chance it could close on your watch. What message would that send if it did?
With respect, I think you're getting way ahead of yourself. Okay.